Hey guys, it's Gina, and I am here today to talk to you guys about budgeting. So, a lot of you guys know that I talk about that sometimes on my Frugal Friday lives. However, sometimes the conversation gets into other things because I do a lot of stuff on my channel, so sometimes the conversation doesn't stick directly to the topic, and I thought it might be easier if I did this as more of a video series that someone could go back to if they have questions or they're wondering about something. So I talk about budgeting from my own experience of what I did to get my finances on track. I am not a financial advisor, so I'm not giving professional input on this. I'm just giving you tips and tricks based on my own personal experience with budgeting and getting my finances in order. So, when I first started budgeting, the first thing I did is I wrote down everything that I pay for throughout the month. So, every bill, groceries, if you have like kids in sports, every single thing, gas, eating out, everything I wrote down that I could think of. I will tell you from firsthand experience, I did not remember every single thing. So, being that we are more an electronic generation, we tend to set a lot of bills up to be auto paid. Not many people sit down with a checkbook and make payments. And sometimes, because of how busy our lives can get, we don't want to forget to pay something by just remembering to log on and pay it as well. So typically, we'll set them up for auto payment or something electronic to where you can just set it and forget it. Well, because of that, that's why it's easier to forget some things that you may be paying for. Maybe apps, like if you stream for your TV, so different programming services. Maybe you have some type of app for your computer that bills you yearly. You may have a subscription to a big store like Costco or Sam's Club, things like that that only happen once a year. You may forget about. And that happened for me. So, what I did, like I said from the beginning, I just wrote down everything that I could remember. So, from my own experience of knowing that I forgot some things, my suggestion is do just that. Write down all the things that you pay out throughout the month: gas, electric, mortgage, rent, car note, everything, groceries, eating out, every single thing that you think of. Write that down and how much it is. And then also write down how much income you're bringing in, so you know what you're working with to pay all those things. Now, if you're already paying all your bills, you know you're making enough to do so. Most people's problem with budgeting is that they're like, yeah, I'm making enough to do so, but according to what I make, I should have this amount of money left over that I'm not seeing, or I want to get into saving, or I want to do these other things. So, starting point would be writing down all your bills and expenses for the month and what you're bringing in, so your income. And as that month goes on, checking those things off as they pay. So if the first of the month you pay rent or mortgage, and that mortgage or rent payment has literally left your account, check it off. You go and pay your gas and electric. You actually physically have paid it. It's accounted for. It's taken out of the account. Check it off. Then, when those things come up that you did not think about that need to be paid that month, that came out of your account, write that down where you have the list of the items that you pay out for the month. So just write down on there, this thing came out, this is how much. And it, now that you see it came out, you're like, and I pay this annually in January. So that when you go forward with your budget, you can account for that because now you remembered, and just do that throughout the month. Also, if you spend outside of what you have budgeted, so say you budget $500 for the month for groceries, and you spent that 500, but then you want to buy some more things, and now you've spent another $100 for groceries. Write that down. Now, also, I use this as a tool to see if there's places that I can tighten up. Groceries was the one place I was big time able to tighten up. Well, before I started budgeting, I was roughly spending somewhere about $800 to $900 a month for 4 people. For groceries, I would say toiletries, but it was really mostly groceries because I was a couponer at that time. So I was still spending $800 or $900 a month just for groceries, and a lot of that stuff was just garbage. So when I started budgeting, I started cutting back more and more. I said, okay, let me see if I can, get through a month of only this amount for groceries. So when I first started, I did 100. No, I think I did 150 per person. So I had a $600 grocery budget. Then I saw I could do that. I was having to do a little bit more prep. So instead of, let me think of an example. Instead of me buying store pre-made pizza crust, we like to have a pizza night. I went and bought yeast. I already had flour, and I made my own pizza crust, and I would make them. I would roll them out. I would bake them like just a little bit to make sure it was a little done, and then I would lay them out on parchment paper and freeze them with parchment paper in between them, where I could just pull out a crust whenever I wanted to make pizza. It was way cheaper. You're talking about $1 and something, even if you have to buy the flour. $1 and something for the yeast packet, maybe $1 to $1.25, and then a couple dollars for a bag of flour. And you can season it or whatever, however you want. I think you put a little salt in it. I can't remember from the packet because I haven't made them for a while. But that's simple to cut back. Rather than you're looking at $2-3, rather than buying the pre-made crust where you might spend $5 or more for a couple crusts. Well, that's just one maybe, and you're probably going to need a couple. So looking at ways that I could cut back, and these are things that I did to tighten up my budget, because if I was serious about wanting to have, my biggest thing is I didn't have a savings, and I was like, I need to have a savings. Like, what about every time something happened, we had a way to, it was like blessings happened to make sure that thing was going to be taken care of. But I didn't want to live like that. Like, I wanted to make sure that we were good if something happened. So that was my focus, being able to save. So when I cut the grocery budget from $800 to $900 to $600, I'm already saving $200 to $300 a month. That's going somewhere, is going into a savings. Well, once I saw I could do that, and I saw that I was still kind of buying a little bit of garbage, even doing that, I was like, I think I can go further. And I took my grocery budget to $100 per person per month. And that was doable as well. Now, I still do $400 a month, but I'm down to 3 people. My oldest child is grown. She has her own household, has for quite some time now. So I didn't change my budget any lower. I kept it to the 400, but it just gives me a little bit of room. I think, I don't know why. I just kept it there. Let's just say that. But all those additional dollars that I was able to cut back out of my savings, I mean, out of my budget, I was able to put into savings and actually build up a savings. And I will tell you, when the pandemic happened, that savings came in handy because some things shifted really big in my household, and that savings was important. It was very important. So that was one of the ways that I was able to tighten up. Another way was I cut my cable. I had cable where it bundled phone, cable, internet, I think it was. I cut the cable service from that, and all I had was the phone and the cable, and all I had was the internet. And so I began to stream for TV, and it was way cheaper. To this day, I still do it that way. That way, we watch what we get the programming that we actually watch, and we're not wasting money just having 300 channels when you only watch 5. I mean, it's not really, very helpful. Is that like you get to pick the channels that come in these packages, and they yeah, you're gonna get these and you get that, but I only need this. So that was another way that I cut back in the budget. I know some people may cut back in a budget by making sure that all the lights aren't on all day in the house, and having their heating and air set certain ways to kind of, preserve different things like that. But you just, as you go, those are things that you do. Don't starting off, write down, just have it in writing what your bills are, the things that you pay for throughout the month, how much they are anticipated to be. You usually know a roundabout, or you can look at your last bill and anticipate it to be that, even if it's going to be different the next month. I know every month my gas and utility is going to be different, but every month I write down what it was that month to be anticipated for the next month. So starting off there, and as those things get paid, checking them off and making sure that they got paid. Writing down the additional things that you do throughout the month with that money that you could be putting towards savings. Write down those additional things that came up. Oh, well, my friends called me and we went out for a girls' night, or the guys called me and we went out and had drinks. Write that down. This happened and this much got spent, and that now you're keeping track of where that money is going that you felt like you should be able to save, because typically it's because we're doing other things with it. And I would just start there. Knowing what you're doing and the pattern in what you're doing is like a great way to start. And then from there, building on that. So I'm just going to leave it there because I'm already at like over 12 minutes. And set that as a goal. Writing down your income and expenses for the month, and literally being honest in tracking them and the amounts they are. Don't be worried about what somebody might think about what you're spending for this and that. That's not what we're not here for that, because that's your own business. But we're here to figure out how we can create this money, and you're not creating it out of thin air. You're pulling it out of what you already have to be able to have for savings. Or maybe maybe it's not even just to a savings account. Maybe that's not where you're at. Maybe you want to save for trips. Every year you're like, we don't get to really vacation the way I want to because the money isn't there. Maybe that's something you want to be able to save towards. Maybe you've had something in your, that you wanted to make a big purchase of, a car or a house or something like that, and you just haven't seen the room to be able to do it. And this may be the avenue that gets you to be able to see where you can make some changes to be able to make those things happen. So guys, like I said, this will be part 1, we'll call it. And I'm just going to build on that, and then you will be able to come back here and look at the videos and maybe hopefully take something from it. And if you have questions, please ask them in the comments. If you like the content, remember to share it out, give me a thumbs up. And like I said, there'll be more to come, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye.